Yo, I just wanted to share something. I don't know where it's categorized. I don't know if it's religion or religious, but let me sum it up here. And I don't know what to call this video either, so. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of information about what I've come to understand about how history is, like what is, like what we went through life, I guess through our civilization. So, I'm not saying I know, I'm saying this is information that I've gathered, that I've somewhat did a study, not study, but like information on YouTube and like just figuring stuff out on my own, like just filling in the gaps. From what I understand, that's entirely what the Bible is. It's about filling in the gaps, about the words that aren't on paper, about the meanings that aren't on paper. So, anyways, that's what I come to understand of what the Bible is, but that's not where we're going here. So with history, what we call Catholics or Christians, they ascended from a culture that used to, how would you say, worship serpents. So that's where the turn of history changed from the serpent worshipping and understanding to Christianity and like believing in the other side, I guess you could say. So from that point, there's the serpents. So from history, we've always known that there's always some sort of how would you say, like a UFO or an extraterrestrial. There's always that form depicted in ancient art, in ancient history. So from understanding at that point that they definitely are a part of our civilization through our past civilizations. And one thing that I've come to understand is as soon as a civilization has gone to its, how would you say, highest peak, they may or may not have left Earth, like people on this Earth, like they build up their colony to like like I don't know what you would call it, but like space driven, and so then they ascend into space and essentially become, people of space. But this is what I'm thinking of where history's going, because of the way, that's the way colonies worked back in the day, back in history. At least that's the way I've come to understand it. So they came here, they built civilization, and then they went back up, and that could have happened multiple times over who knows how long through history. They've probably even been here before humans were even birthed onto Earth. So there's these people just coming here and going. So then we show up, humans. So we're here. And then in the past civilizations, there was aliens being depicted, and then the worshipping started with the serpents, and then it got changed over to Christianity. Like all those prophets and all those like people that were following a certain person or a deity or whatever you want to call it, they switched over like almost overnight. They switched over to worshipping this Christianity, or I don't know what the religious word for it is called, but so then they switched it over like almost overnight. So you have to kind of understand and try to wonder what is the end root of all of that. But now we also have to figure out what history is today. So Christianity is still involved. So we're still going on this, how would you say, controlling aspect, because the from history, the dark history, like way back in the day, so they were trying to figure out a way to uh, not entirely have control, but influence a lot of the creation around them, like the other folks, towns, people, like all that stuff. So then they created this following. So this following, then they changed the aspect of it, and and the Christianity would be the coming of Jesus, but we're not gonna put that into aspects of just quite yet, because we're not there yet. So Christianity, and then with today, we're still going on that same path, but now the technology is flooding the information. So the information now is like completely flooded religion. So there is practically no religion amongst all the new birthed human beings on earth. So the religion is being like kind of covered up, and it's like, because like that's just the way it is. Because the humans nowadays, they don't teach people of a certain way. They just let the kids or whatever, they do whatever they want, and then they grow into adults, and then those adults let their kids do whatever they want. Then there's no religion there, so there's that, and then there's understanding of our civilization. So let's say these people are these things that are coming from space, or like wherever they're coming from. That information is being held away from our society, like everyday folks, people, their society. But with the government and their society, what they have going, so you have to understand is like they came from before the coming of Jesus, before the coming of Christ. So these people, these how would you see, bank owners and like all these people, like whatever it may be, that accounted to all the like the mass control through history, even through the transition into religion, and then through that religion being transitioned, all those families going into early Western civilization, and then building their like colony cities and whatnot. And then now today that they're doing practically the same thing, building their colonies, and they kind of flooded out religion. I don't know if they still hold it, or if they still have it, but it's and that's another thing, is that it's kind of like intentional, like the loss of one thing, because they're attaining another thing. But with knowledge, it's like, if you have a TV, it's in your home, right? You have a TV or you don't have a TV. It's simple as that, and that's knowledge. A wealthy home may not have a TV because they're too busy doing their things to make ends meet, and vice versa. Someone who doesn't have a TV, they're not doing those things. Even a person who has a TV, they can be out doing those things, but or vice versa. But anyways, it's the information that's there that's being kept away from everyday society, so that their colony that is still being brought through history can ascend into space again. So they're gonna grab their colony, because they already have all the means of technology by figuring out the technology that has come here on Earth, and that has been here on Earth, and that they're probably has always, maybe at an early time in life, has been here, maybe, but so these colonies, these families, they're getting ready for at least the way that I see it, they're getting ready for a ascension into space. But with every ascension, there's a, how would you say, an event that almost wipes out all life on Earth. You know, so I don't know if it's natural or if it was intentional by means of powers of technology or deities, you know, whoever it may be. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. But another thing, what I'm going to say with that is, when these cultures and these colonies do ascend, you know, and they go into space, my theory, or what I come to understand, is with every ascension there is an extinction. So they're going to extinct who they can and whatever they can, if that's their purpose, if that's what they're going for. And they're going to come back down onto Earth, and they're going to recolonize Earth. You know, they're just going to destroy it first, and like blow it up, you know, all like nukes and whatever. And that's there for a purpose. Maybe not so much nukes, but they're going to figure out a way to extinct humans and like whatever they can. And then they're going to come back on Earth, and then they're going to, you know, do the whole thing over. So that's what I'm coming to understand of what history is, you know. And also from just understanding history, that you would really understand why people are making these videos, like these mass cinematic movies. These movies are being made because somebody has not really thought of, but has come to understanding, if not entirely driven by the idea itself, because they know or may not know about the future comings of events. You know, and if you're able to really understand and to predict the natural outcome of colonies and civilizations, you'll start to understand why these movies and why these videos are being put out as a regular everyday thing. You know, because that's essentially what it is. You know, whether if we're there at that moment or not, these colonies and these people, they're already there. They're already doing those things, you know, and they're just preparing themselves to be able to cope with it as well as us. You know, I don't know really what the purpose of these movies are, but these colonies and these people, these families, they exist. You know, they already have the technology, and they're already doing these things. But that's to think about anything much further than what, you know, the extinction and the ascension. So beyond that, it's like there is nothing left. So the only thing that I could think of is to provide a means of survival. And so for me, what I would say survival is, we have to understand what's going on, because the more that we understand what is going on, the more we can best prepare ourselves to, you know, be able to like just maybe say or do something that may not allow them to do what they want to do at their full extent, if not defend ourselves in a way, or maybe even do the same action of saving ourselves, you know, and ascending ourselves, you know, by making a space program, by re-engineering and, you know, doing all the science that you need to do to make sure that you have the same technology, or just the abilities to protect yourself against their technology, because their technology is far more advanced because of their studies of the technology that's come to Earth. You know, there's a word for it, I can't think of it. It's re-engineering technology. So essentially, like, somebody, if not the people of Earth, have to start creating more entities, but more for public folk, more for us, because we're starting to, well, maybe not fully understand, but we're starting to get a clear understanding or a picture of what's really being done here. And like I'm gonna say right now is we don't know how long this is going on for. We don't know how long they're intended to go for, or if this is something that they're intended to do throughout history so that they can be the first to create this world, or perhaps destroy this world to create that world. But again, I'm only providing information that I've come to understand of what history is. So what history has been and what it's always been, because it's already happened and we're just experiencing the after effect of the history and like the motions of the universe. But that's where I'm getting it at. So I'm not saying that we all need to be like trying to live like these movies, and that's by no case. I'm not involving these movies, cinematic movies, by no means. These cinematic movies that I mentioned are simply a byproduct of, you know, stories of what somebody else has thought of. Yeah, I don't know who they are, I don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know what families they are. I have no idea who these people are. All these different ideas and movies and stuff, I have no idea. So, but all I'm saying is I'm providing what I understand what history is. So, you know, just take it for yourself. Take a minute to think. Think about what history is. Think about where it is. Think about why it's been destroyed. Think about why they try to eradicate history and they try to get rid of certain aspects of history. You know, same like with my kind, First Nations, they try to eradicate First Nations people. They try to get rid of all of us. You know, so it just goes to show the impact of what Christianity is doing, you know, and it might even be a byproduct, you know, because these not so much a byproduct, but humans are humans. They've been here before Jesus, so like all of that, and then Christianity, so then they have to have two personalities, you know. One is their nature, dark, you know, dark whatever, and then they got switched over almost overnight, you know, eradicating, you know. And these people that were Christians, they were killing and murdering people to like switch history, you know, destroying towns and cities, and you know, and then that's essentially but who they are, their religion is still here today, you know. But that's all I'm saying is maybe it's no longer Christians. They tapped out of being with that religion and they went their own way, like these other family members of from the past history. But I don't know. That's just my understanding, and yeah. What do you think? I like to think about life, history, just try to figure shit out. I'm like, oh man, goddamn, like what's going on here? Like, ah. But yeah, my hypothesis, yeah, something like that. I forgot to mention something about Jesus, I guess. Well, it's a little added part to this, because from what I've come to understand about what they say the Bible says, because I didn't study the Bible, I've only taken in stories about what people are saying about the Bible and things like that. And I've tried to study it as an early human being, as a child, and I do believe I was baptized. So the first coming of Jesus, and then the Bible, and then so in the Bible it says that there will be a false prophet, and they're gonna like call themselves gods, and then that's when God's in the Bible where it says God will come and, you know, like have a turn of events. So my understanding is that that turn of events in that scene is the ascension of those colonies and those people, and the God, or this part of the subject gets a little tricky because you got to see it in its light and entirety. So the God from the Bible was these serpents. So these serpents, essentially, God says that He's going to come back. He's going to make a turn of events. So they're going to have this war, with these other people that are trying to ascend Earth and leave, essentially, and do whatever they're intending to do. That's why they're going to have their war. So, but then you got to think of it as the other way of the first coming of Jesus, and then in the Bible, and then it states that God will come, or Jesus Himself will come and have the turn of events and have this war, and stop it from happening, or try to do something. So that's just what I wanted to add into that. And yeah, we don't know. So anyways.